Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight on the program, we focus on the shifting sands ahead of the 2027 general elections, where talk of a grand political alliance remains stalled. This follows growing signs of disunity among key opposition figures, with some PDP governors and other power brokers distancing themselves from the much anticipated coalition meant to challenge the ruling APC. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the Labour Party's Peter Obi, and former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai have remained vocal about the need to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu through a united front. But former President Olusegun Obasanjo recently cast doubt on the individual strength of these actors, warning that without a solid alliance, their ambition may not match Nigeria's evolving political reality. Now, this uncertainty is deepened by the ongoing fragmentation within the CPC bloc of the APC, once central to the 2015 victory. Key players like El-Rufai have shifted loyalty to the SDP, while others, like the ex-Nasarawa State Governor Umar Al-Makura, now aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, especially ahead of 2027. So what does this mean for Nigeria's political landscape in the build-up to what looks like a big showdown in 2027? Join us to unpack this development, the viability, the risk and the roadblocks of these alliance talks is Chief Okoi Obono-Obla, a former presidential advisor on public prosecution under President Muhammadu Buhari, who will be joining us for this conversation tonight. Chief, good evening and thank you so much for joining us in the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Right. First of all, I just want to get your overview of the political atmosphere in the country. What do you make of what's happening right now?
Well, a bundle of confusion and contradictions by the opposition political parties. The way they are going, I don't think they can come together. And then this coalition they are talking about, what is coalition? When one or two political parties or people come together, or organizations come together with the objective of fighting for the same thing, common interest and all that. It is not ideal for the kind of government we operate in Nigeria. The Nigerian constitution is modeled after the American constitution. So we operate presidential system of government, a typical presidential system of government. If you compare with the French model is like a midway between presidential and parliamentary. They have a president, they also have a prime minister, also the German system. So if the French system it's not what we operate in Nigeria, though it's presidential, but it's that brand of presidentialism is different. We operate a typical presidential system of government, like in the United States of America. Let's go back to history. In the Second Republic, which was between 1979 to 1983, we had NPP, Nigerian People's Party, Nigerian National Party of Nigeria, NPN. We had Unity Party of Nigeria. These were and a great Nigerian People's Party. And the father was Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim, and then in the MPN you have President Shehu Shagari. In the MPP you had Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. In the Unity Party of Nigeria you had Chief Obafemi Awolowo. In the People's Redemption Party you had Aminu Kano. So these were the parties, and they went into elections in 1979. And it was the first time we were testing the presidential system of government, which was introduced in that same year, 1979, because the Constituent Assembly that the military government of Obasanjo, or Murtala Mohammed and Obasanjo put together, the Constituent Assembly agreed that what caused the problem in the First Republic was the parliamentary system of government. And the military toppled Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, who was prime minister. So they introduced presidential. They tried to form alliance or coalition. They didn't form coalition for the election. The election took place and President Shehu Shagari emerged. But the MPN, which was his political party, did not have majority of seats in the National Assembly, which is not that's the House of Reps and the Senate, because they were afraid or they were apprehensive that they would not be able to pass bills easily, because they knew they need two-thirds majorities, two-thirds in the Senate. We have I think that time we had about 100 and something, 105 or 4 senators, and then we have also 240 members of the House of Reps. So two-thirds, they didn't have it. So they were afraid, look, we will not pass, our bills will not scale through. A confirmation of appointments by the National Assembly
There's
will
going
not
to be a lot
scale
of
through.
resistance.
Yeah, exactly. So they form a coalition government with MPP, Nigerian People's Party. And that coalition, it didn't work. It ran into a fiasco. After about 1 year, 2 years, it collapsed. The parties, went their different ways. And then again, before the MPN became a very strong party, just like what we have now, APC, very strong. And what we had were smaller parties. They couldn't match MPN. So they said, okay, let us come together. Like what these people have been saying now. There was a clamor. Parties should come together, so they should form coalition. They came together to form the Progressive People's Alliance to fight the 1983 general elections. Despite that, they were defeated heavily by MPN. Okay? So what the point I'm making is that the constitution we operated in 1979 to 1983 is the same as the constitution we have in place now, which was introduced in 1999. So that constitution is not ideal for coalition. If you want to form coalition, how are you going to do that? You have different political parties coming together. They have different symbols. They have different logos. The country, we don't have very, very illiterate people. The people who vote in the rural areas are not illiterate. So if you say, okay, Atiku Abubakar will be, our candidate, but his party is not the same party with Kwakwaso or Peter Obi, how are they going to work out? How are they going to work it out?
Is it not safe to say that it's still early days and the alliance or the coalition itself is still taking shape, and that's why we can't jump the gun?
I have experience in, parties coming together. I was the secretary of CPC Major Committee. I was also the co-secretary of the Joint Inter-Party Major Committee. This Joint Inter-Party Major Committee was an umbrella committee formed by the major committees of ACN, CPC, AMPP, and ABGA. What was our work was to negotiate the formation of APC. So I had thought these people will form, parties will come together to merge. That is what is applicable in Nigeria, even in our legal framework, the Electoral Act of 2022. What we have is merger of political parties, not coalition of different political parties.
Yeah, but you also take a deep dive into the conversations right now. You realize that the coalition talks are being driven by individuals and not the political parties. I mean, the PDP has not necessarily hinted at joining any political party.
It's not going to work because...
Yeah, but these individuals are crucial, yes, aren't they, yes, to the bigger conversation about especially the presidential race. And Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, for instance, I mean, wherever they go could basically be where the coalition is going to coalesce at the end of the day. And we understand that the SDP is looking like a possible destination. Could this coalition be about individuals and not necessarily about political parties?
If you have a coalition of individuals, we don't have independent candidacy, or we don't have that provision in the Nigerian constitution for independent candidates. As a matter of fact, one of the requirements to contest election in Nigeria is that you must be sponsored by a registered political party. So if individuals are forming coalition to fight election, how are they going to go about it when they don't have a common political platform? Even if you are going to say, okay, let's adopt Labour Party, and do you expect somebody in Yobe or in one rural community in Cross River State to know that maybe Atiku Abubakar is a presidential candidate under Labour, but people who will contest on National Assembly seats are in different contests on a different political party. How is that going to be possible? Because one of the things we used to do when we explain to people, when we go out to tell them to canvass for votes. So we have APC will say the horse, or SDP they say the white horse. In PDP they say food basket. That's what we used to explain to the local people, to understand that, okay, when you are going to the polling unit, you are going to cast your votes for that party that has the emblem of a food, women with food, or food basket, or horse, and so forth and so on. So it is going to cause a lot of confusion.
Well, what if the SDP is the possible destination for all these political figures that we're talking about? Doesn't that then make everything simple?
I can't see them collapsing into, all of them collapsing into SDP.
Why not?
Yes.
It has happened before. I mean,
well, that is it. It may be happening, but how are they going to sell that brand? Nigerians are very conservative people. And if they want to do that, they should start early. You can't wait until 1 year or 6 months to the election, or 9 months to the election, to say, look, you start explaining, oh, all of us are going to be in SDP.
So you don't think they still have time?
They don't have time. That is why what I'm saying, if they want to emerge, which is what is available under our electoral framework, what is available is merger. They should start now to form merger committees. Because if you are doing merger, you are going to negotiate. And it's a long process, drawn out. And all the parties will hold conventions. All their National Executive Committee have to approve the proposal for merger. It's not a tea party. I was involved. As I said before, I was the secretary of CPC Merger Committee. When the former president asked us to negotiate with the ACN, that was the party of the current president. So we started, and it took us a long time, drawn out. And we were even lucky because there was like a consensus by the Progressive Governors Forum. They drove the process very well. So they had agreed in principles that parties have to emerge. And it took President Buhari and President Bola Tinubu. They were talking from 2008, understand? And then in 2011, general election, they tried to form alliance. And it didn't work because President Buhari had picked Tunde Bakari as his running mate. And then ACN came in. They said, no, we want our own person to be the running mate. And Tunde Bakari didn't agree to step down for President Buhari to nominate another person. And they went into the 2011 election as cross-proposed. And we lost.
You look at the individuals involved. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, his political antecedents obviously needs no introduction. You look at the likes of Nasser Rufai, the likes of Peter Obi, even though he's not directly linked to the conversation around that, and all the other individuals around this particular conversation. Don't you reckon they have enough experience to know what they're doing, what they're getting into?
Yes. On paper, all of them look very experienced. But I am disappointed that up till now, apart from media hypes, we want to coalition, we want to form coalition. They have not done anything.
You think there's no substance so far? There's no substance.
No, exactly. So I'm worried. Are they doing that because they can't come together? All of them have presidential ambition. So there must be somebody who will not who will be behind to help them come together. Look, in the case of PDP, ACN, and CPC, and AMPP, and ABGA, there was that agreement that it was going to be President Buhari who would be the candidate. Bola Tinubu was there, Asuwaju. He didn't, it was clear that he was not going to run in 2015. So there was that agreement. So till now, these people who have been saying, well, they want to form coalition, seemingly there is no agreement amongst them. They're not carrying on as if they want to come together. Kwankwaso is there saying a different thing. I heard Buba Galadima, who is a supporter, a strong supporter of Kwankwaso. He said, look, we are not going to come together. PDP governors say, look, we are not going to be part of the coalition. And these people are the ones that were supposed to drive the process. The governors are very powerful. If anything is to succeed in a political party, the governors must be, behind it. So that the governor says, no, we are not going to be part of the coalition. Labour Party is in 4 factions. Which faction of these 4 will agree to join Atiku Abubakar coalition, or SDP, who has also rejected Madam Nasiru El-Rufai? They say, look, if you want to join our party, you have to go to your ward in Kaduna and join the party from the ward. So that is it.
Yeah, and to the point I made earlier about whether these individuals have enough momentum and political currency to float a different platform altogether without the instrumentality of the political parties that they're coming from. You talk about what's happening in Labour Party, you talk about the crisis in the PDP also. If Atiku Abubakar leaves today with all the people that he has, with him, people in government, people in National Assembly, and all those who support him, and the Peter Obi leaves Labour Party, for instance, and they decide to join another political party, wouldn't that then be the new force in the political arena?
Well, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Didn't it work with Peter Obi in 2023?
Well, 2023 is a different thing. The dynamics are different. Okay? And that is why they even lost that election. If Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar had a rapport, maybe that election would have been different. And I have not seen them forming that rapport. It's not there. It's just on paper. Going to visit Atiku, and Atiku's addressing the media to say, look, we are going to form a coalition. It's not enough. By now, they should have started, coming together, also urging their supporters to come together, to start working together. It is not easy to bring people with different ideologies together. That is their challenge. And we even had that challenge.
Are they all that different? I mean, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi have a history. They were on the ballot together in 2019,
yes,
right? Nasir Rufai and Atiku Abubakar have worked together in the same administration.
Yeah.
I mean, all these people have political history that ties them together. So is that going to be a difficult thing for them to work together?
It's a difficult thing. Peter Obi has ambition. I know it's on the southeast. And there is, clamor for people of the southeast. They say, look, nobody from the southeast has been president of Nigeria. So Peter Obi supporters have that kind of mindset. I do not think they will even allow Peter Obi to be a running mate to Atiku, even though he was in 2019. But in 2019, the dynamics were different. The dynamics in 2023 were different. And the dynamics that will shape and influence 2027 elections will be different. So, what I'm saying, the scenario, they are very vociferous people, the obedient movement. And they are hardliners. I don't see them,
You think you think they will shape Peter Obi's thinking?
Yes, they will. That's what the Peter Obi is relying on. Those obedient people. Yeah, the young people, the internet people. That's what he's relying on. That's the mainstay of his support.
You don't think they're open-minded about realistically what is attainable?
Well, their open mind will be only that they want Peter Obi. So if you bring in Atiku, they may not have that traction.
What if Atiku is not the end game? What if there is some calculation that they're pondering right now? Because Atiku has not said categorically that he's going to stand for the election.
Atiku Abubakar, he's a new person. He has experience. He had contested presidential election about 3 times. He has sought presidential nomination in various platforms, political platforms, several times. Since 1993, he has been pushing to be president. So he knows the country very well. He has been vice president for 8 years. So he knows the country very well. And he was very strong in PDP, when PDP was really a national party, force to be reckoned with. So you cannot wish him away. I mean, they need him. They need his experience, they need his drive, they need his everything that goes to Atiku Abubakar. They need it in the opposition. And they're not tapping from it because everybody has ambition. P2B supporters, I don't think they want to concede to Atiku Abubakar. And if like there's a forced marriage, he may lose a chunk of his supporters. P2B, I'm talking about P2B. Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at this video because it's been making the rounds. A couple of weeks ago, the likes of Atiku Abubakar precisely, the former vice president, led a delegation to Kaduna to visit your former boss. They say it was a Salah homage, a big deal was made out of it, and the conversation soon became the CPC bloc in APC is unhappy and they're likely going to break away from the APC to possibly join the coalition. What are your thoughts about it? Because since then, there have been various, claims. You had the Al-Makura, come out and say, listen, we are with the president. We're with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he has our support. But you still have the likes of Malami who are saying, listen, speak for yourself.
Yes.
You don't speak for all of us. You are a member of that bloc.
Yes.
So give us an insight.
I don't think Malami was just a minister, an appointee. He doesn't command the kind of political respect or acceptability the likes of, Tanko Makura commands. Tanko Makura is a very experienced politician.
But can we all agree that there is division within the CPC bloc?
Well, there's no division because of Malami. Malami is just one person. As I said, he doesn't command the respect. Tanko commands.
There was the other press briefing. I'm not sure if it's fair to say Babachir, the former secretary to the government of the federation, is with the coalition, but he has been attending events with the coalition.
That is very scandalous. He's not a member of APC. No, he left APC, to join P2B's Labour Party. And
he didn't join Labour Party, but he did join the Obedient Movement.
Well, who was he? He was a member of the major committee. I was the secretary. And Tanko Makura was, the second person, in the hierarchy. Or if you look at the appointments of members of the major committee, the first person that was listed was Senator Garuba Gadi. Senator Garuba Gadi was a governor, deputy governor of Bauchi State, and then he was a senator. He was the chairman of the CPC Media Committee. The second person was Makura. And Makura financed the CPC Media Committee. I know about that because I used to go to one of his aides to collect money every weekend to pay for the hotel accommodation of members of the CPC Media Committee. And then in CPC, he was the financier. Because I was National Deputy Secretary. And so I'm aware of what I'm talking about. Throughout that period, every month end, he was the person who would bring out money from his pockets to enable us pay the secretary staff. He did that between 2011 to 2013. So does he speak
for the APC if he's the CPC bloc if he says the president can count on the CPC bloc support?
Yes, all of us have, we came together and said, look, you are going to lead us. President Buhari is almost on the verge of retirement. But he has said, I'm going to support the APC. That APC afforded me the platform to contest and be Nigerian president for 8 years. Particularly after I contested 3 times and I didn't win. But APC gave me the platform. So I'm grateful to APC and I will remain in APC. So that is it. So if President Muhammad Buhari, who is the leader of APC, has spoken that I'm not going to leave APC, who is Malami, who was just his appointee.
Yeah, but the former president also says he cannot influence the decision of his followers.
Yes.
I.e., former ministers, for instance.
Yes.
From taking.
Good. That is why we came together. Yeah. We came together. Makura, Masari, who was also governor of Katsina State for 8 years. He was also former speaker. He was also a member of the House of Reps for many years. And then Tanko Makura. And then if you look at all those who were listed, Adamu, The man is from Bauchi State. He was a Minister for Education for 8 years. He's a trusted Buhari royalist. Yes, and so all of us are there. We are more than them. Those who say we are not going to join, we are going to leave APC to join the so-called coalition, which I think it will be an ingratitude. Anybody who is a supporter of Buhari, of President Muhammadu Buhari, has to support APC. As I said, the CPC bloc of APC was in government for 8 years.
Yeah, but talk to me about the relationship, the political relationship between former President Muhammadu Buhari and the current APC administration, because there is this understanding that if he's entertaining visitors like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, and the rest of the delegation that visited him in Kaduna, it probably means that he's open-minded about supporting whoever he wants to support.
Well, if you know his political antecedents of President Muhammadu Buhari, it's very rigid. And it's very consistent. Compare that with Atiku. Atiku has shown inconsistency in his political life. Firstly, he was in PDP. From PDP, he crossed over to Action Congress of Nigeria. That party was founded by Abdullahi Ahmed Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos State, when he left Alliance for Democracy. Then, after a while, he returned back to PDP. Okay? And then he waited until May 2014 when APC had been founded in 2013, 31st of July 2013. That was the day APC was registered as a political party by INEC. Atiku Abubakar waited until May 2014. Then he crossed over from PDP to APC. Then,
I'm sure at that time you were happy to have him.
Well, we were looking for everybody to come on board, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we wanted
Which part
to
was he? Which
win
part,
election.
Which category was he in? The good or the bad?
Well, I don't want to be judgmental.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be judgmental. But we said we were progressives. So, you know, but despite that, we had to bring in conservatives too, or people who are not progressives, because we wanted to win the election. I think that's the way to put it.
Some would say former President Muhammadu Buhari's body language seems to be one of open-mindedness, because there have been, over the past couple of weeks, I mean, you had the likes of Buba Galadima, for instance, come out and say, listen, the Buhari administration was not particularly pleased with the emergence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the candidate of the APC in 2023, perhaps alluding to the possibility that the former president wanted somebody else to pick the ticket. Is it fair to say that right now, with everything that is going on, that you're worried that Buhari could throw his political support with somebody else other than President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
I've said that its antecedents does not give any indication that that is going to happen. He's going to jump camp. He has never jumped camp. You know, he started in 2003 when he joined politics under the platform of APP, which later metamorphosed into AMPP. Even when he had challenges, he had a lot of destroyer people in AMPP, to the extent that when he challenged the 2007 presidential election in the election tribunal, his running mate disowned him. His political party, APP, disowned him. They withdrew from the petition that was filed by him, and he was left alone to fight that case to the Supreme Court. And in 2011, there was still pressure by his supporters for him to go and for him to come out and contest, because in all these elections he contested, he demonstrated very strong, showing. But we were not sure that AMPP will give him ticket for the third time. So what happened? He didn't decamp to join in the political party. He rather formed his own political party, which is the CPC.
Right.
Yes, and he got
So
tickets
you're
to
saying
contest.
there is no chance that
Yes.
President Muhammadu Buhari is not open-minded about who to support?
I doubt
it's always going to be APC.
Yeah, he's a very consistent man. He has integrity. So you can predict him because of his character. Most of these politicians we see are, they are mercurial. They change like mercury.
Yeah,
but he has not shown that, attribute. So I don't think he's going to do that.
Right.
Because he wants history to judge him well.
Right.
APC was a coalition or coming together of political parties with different ideologies from different regions, with different ideologies. Yeah. And for the first time in the history of Nigeria, it was the first time politicians and political parties from different regions of the country were coming together to emerge to form a national political party. So, and in history of Nigeria, when it is written, to say, look, that was one of his legacies. Between him and President Ahmed Tinubu, two of them came together. And what is lacking in the current talks about coalition is that they lack two outstanding personalities like what we had in Buhari and President Tinubu.
Okay.
Yes.
Some would say it's still early days with regards to this particular conversation. 2027 is still some time away, but the positioning suggests that we have quite a big showdown on our hands ahead of the next general election. We're going to have to leave it here for now. Interesting conversation, Chief Obono-Obla. Thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you.
I appreciate you for your time.